Okay, we're inside the back of the 200 series, and the handles here at the back, they're actually clipped in. They're a little bit tricky to remove, so I'll show you how I do it. So there's these two covers here, and you see these little tiny notches here. It's enough for you to get a little flat blade screwdriver in there. And what you want to do is you want to push it in, and with a bit of friction, pull it back out, pull the screwdriver out this way and upwards. You can see, and you'll unclip, and you should be able to pry it out gently, and there you go. So you can see that there's little retainers in there, so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to pry that up and out. So do that on both sides, and then there's a little metal clip in here. Just squeeze that and it actually comes out. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and do the other side as well. Actually, I'll show you. So squeeze this clip and it just comes out like that. Okay, and what you'll find is behind here there is a rectangular opening. It's a bit hard to see on this black car. There's a rectangular opening there, and what we're going to do, we're going to put a nut behind there with a special retainer. So I'll go ahead and remove the other side as well, and I'll show you how to put these nuts in the back. You'll have these nut blocks and retainers in the kit. Now I want to explain how these work, because this is quite important. So we've got some, it's a TPU flexible clip retainer, and we've got the CNC machined aluminium nuts. Now if you remember, in the vehicle we've got a slot that looks about that size. So we put that nut in, we turn it 90 degrees, pull it back out, and the edge of the sheet metal will actually sit on that ledge there, and this will clamp onto the sheet metal in the roof. Now to hold this in place, we've come up with this. Okay, so what happens is that actually clips over the top of that, line up the hole, and if you have a look at that, it's actually got a little return on the back, and it's designed to fit snugly in that slot, in this slot here, and it pushes on that and holds that nut in place, so you can actually use that to attach the shelf brackets to. Now the way we install that, and I'll show you it outside of the vehicle, is we use a long M6 bolt to do this. So to set it up, what you need to do, you'll be supplied a long M6 bolt. Slide the retainer on first, put a nut block on, wind it on so the thread comes out the back, and then what we'll do, we'll go to the vehicle, we'll insert it this way through the rectangular opening in the roof, we'll turn it 90 degrees, and then holding onto the M6 bolt, what we can do is we can actually, whoops, it's a bit fiddly, what we can do, we can actually push one side of the clip in, and you'll be able to bend it and clip one side in like that, and then push the other side in like that, and you should feel it click in, and it should fit in there nice and snugly. And then remove the bolt. Once the bolt's removed, you'll have this retained up in the roof of the vehicle. The plastic retainer holds it in place, and then when we tighten it down, it all clamps up and makes it nice and secure. So I just wanted to show you that outside of the vehicle, and then we'll go and do it in the vehicle. Okay, I've got a little bit more light in here now, and the handles have been removed, and you can see there's a little rectangular opening in there. So this is the difficulty with the 200 series. There's actually no captive nuts in the roof there. So what we have to do is we have to put some there so we can attach the brackets to them. Now what we need to do is, if you've got some of this this trim here, you need to make sure you push it back so there's about a 2mm lip all the way around. That way our retainer can sit in place. This is not too bad. That should be fine, and this side is fine. You can see there's enough all the way around. Once you've done that, I'll show you how to put this retainer in. Okay, this is the opening where the handle came out. So you can see that rectangular opening there and the sheet metal in the roof. We're going to clamp onto that. So we need to put this nut block behind there. So grab the long M6 bolt that you'll use to install these nuts, and I'll show you how these are supposed to sit, because it's really important before we put the retainer on, just for clarity. So these will go in quite easily, sideways, and what we want to do is we want to actually turn it 90 degrees so that, it's a bit fiddly here, that it sits like that. Can you see how that ledge that's been machined into it fits perfectly into the slot there? And so once we clamp, it'll clamp onto there perfectly, and that ledge will key into the slot there in the roof. Okay, so it's important that it's sitting properly. That is incorrect. It needs to be like this. Okay, so that's without the retainer in place. And then what we have is we have this retainer right there. We're going to slip over the top, and will keep that nut in place. So I'll show you how to install this. It's a bit fiddly, but it's not too hard, and we can check that the position's right by making sure all the holes and so forth align up. So I'll take that out. And what we want to do, we want to set it up again. So we put the retainer, the nut retainer, on first. Make sure you get this in the right direction. Okay. You can see the little machined step in there. That is where the sheet metal will rest up on, and this is where it'll clamp up. So put it up inside. Now this is the fiddly part. Hopefully you can see without my hands getting in the way. So we want to turn that 90 degrees and get that sitting nicely. What we need to do actually is to move this up. Okay, so turn it 90 degrees, it's sitting really nicely there. And what I do is I push one side in first while I'm pulling back on that bolt. I've got one side up. Actually, got one side up. So I've actually got one side in, and then I'll push the other side in, and you should feel it lock in place. And what you want to do is you want to pull that towards you and just wiggle it to make sure that that spigot is lined up against the sheet metal there, and that's all sitting in there nicely, and you can feel that that's not moving anywhere. And then what we do, unwind the bolt, and the nut is being held in place. So we've got an M6 nut block behind there, and it's been held in place by this TPU nut retainer. So go ahead and do that to all the other ones. It's a little bit fiddly, but so long as you don't undo the bolt before the nut is in place, you'll be right. And the beauty of this system is that it's fully reversible. If you want to put the handles back in, what you do is you would wind this back in, give it a good push, and then you should be able to pull that back out, and it all comes back out again. So fully reversible. You can put it back to normal, or you can install the shelf again. But what you would do is, if you were to just remove the shelf, you just leave these up in the roof, it'd be fine.